The Jedi Council chamber was immersed in a heavy silence, interrupted only by the distant hum of speeders cutting through the night sky of Coruscant. Anakin Skywalker remained motionless before the empty chairs, his fists clenched as each second seemed to drag like an eternity. He had obeyed Mace Windu, staying behind while the Master departed with other Jedi to confront Chancellor Palpatine. The force around him was turbulent, echoes of distant conflict reverberating through the connection all Jedi shared. His heart hammered in his chest, torn between duty and fear of what might happen to Padme. The vision of her dying in childbirth still haunted every thought, but he had made his choice, trusting the Council for the first time in weeks. Now all that remained was to wait and pray it wasn't too late. The chamber doors opened abruptly, and Mace Windu entered with firm steps. Windu's face was marked by a somber expression, but there was something different in his eyes, a mixture of relief and concern. Anakin stood immediately, searching for some sign of what had happened. Windu stopped before him, breathing controlledly before speaking. "It's done, Skywalker. Palpatine was indeed Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord we've been searching for years. He resisted arrest and left us no choice." The words hit Anakin like lightning, confirming what he had begun to suspect, but still shocking in its reality. The man who had been his mentor, his confidant, was responsible for the entire war, for all the deaths, for all the manipulation. Before he could fully process the information, his communicator vibrated urgently. It was from the medical center. Padme was in labor. Anakin didn't wait for a second permission, running through the temple corridors toward the hangar. His speeder cut through Coruscant's night at maximum speed, each second seeming crucial. When he arrived at the medical center, the medical droids were already finishing the procedure. He entered the room just in time to see Padme holding two small beings wrapped in blankets, her eyes tired but shining with life and love. She was alive. The twins were healthy. His vision had been just that, a vision, not an immutable destiny. Anakin knelt beside the bed, gently touching Padme's face and then the small faces of Luke and Leia. "You're okay. You're all okay," he whispered, his voice broken with emotion. Padme smiled weakly, her hand finding his. "I told you everything would be fine. You made the right choice." But the joy of the moment was tempered by the reality that awaited them. The Council needed to know the truth, and Anakin could no longer live in lies and secrecy. In the following days, while Padme recovered and they cared for the newborns, Anakin prepared to face the Council. He knew it could mean his expulsion from the Order, but there was no going back. The war had ended with Sidious's death, and it was time for honesty. 3 days after the twins' birth, Anakin presented himself before the full Jedi Council. Yoda was in his chair, his ancient eyes studying the young knight with an intensity that seemed to penetrate to his soul. Obi-Wan was present, concern evident in his features. Windu remained austere, but there was an openness in his posture that hadn't existed before. Anakin began slowly, revealing his secret marriage to Padme, the birth of the twins, his fears and how those fears almost led him to betray everything he loved. "I broke the code," he admitted, his voice firm despite the vulnerability. "But it was my love for them that gave me the clarity to see Palpatine for what he really was. I accept whatever punishment the Council decides." The silence that followed was long and tense, each master processing the confession and its implications. The debate that followed was intense and lasted for hours. Windu argued for tradition and maintaining the code, though he acknowledged that Anakin had been instrumental in identifying and bringing down the Sith Lord. Ki-Adi-Mundi expressed concerns about precedence and how other Jedi might interpret any leniency. But it was Yoda who finally brought perspective to the debate. "Fulfilled, the prophecy was," the ancient master said, his voice echoing in the chamber. "Balance to the Force the Chosen One brought. Destroyed, the Sith was. Changed, the Order must. Too rigid, we became. Lost our way, perhaps." Obi-Wan supported his former Padawan, speaking about how Anakin's attachment hadn't made him weak, but rather had given him strength to make the right choice at the crucial moment. After deliberation, the Council reached an unprecedented decision. Anakin Skywalker would be promoted to Jedi Master and receive a permanent seat on the Council. becoming the youngest to achieve such honor in the entire history of the Order. His marriage would be quietly recognized, though not publicly announced, and the Order would begin a process of reevaluating its doctrines about attachment. The following months were a period of transformation both for Anakin and the Jedi Order. He constantly found himself torn between his duties on the Council, where he now had a voice in the galaxy's most important decisions, and his desire to be with Padme, Luke, and Leia in their apartment. Obi-Wan became not just his best friend, but a true confidant, someone with whom he could share the joys and challenges of balancing two worlds. "You're doing something extraordinary, Anakin," Obi-Wan told him one evening, as they watched the twins sleep. "You're proving that a Jedi can love without falling to darkness." Padme continued her work as senator in Coruscant, now with the war over and a new era of reconstruction beginning. She and Anakin found a rhythm, a delicate dance between public and private life, between duty and family. The Jedi Order, under the influence of its new perspectives, slowly began to open itself to possibilities that had been closed for millennia, recognizing that inflexible dogma had nearly cost them everything. 5 years had passed since the end of the Clone Wars, and the Jedi Temple in Coruscant breathed an atmosphere of renewal and peace. Luke Skywalker, now old enough to begin his formal training, stood before the Jedi Council alongside other children, awaiting the results of the initiation tests. His blue eyes shone with determination and a touch of anxiety as he felt the weight of the Master's gazes upon him. Anakin watched from his seat on the council, trying to maintain a neutral expression, but his heart beat rapidly with paternal pride. When Yoda announced that Luke had passed the tests and would be accepted as a youngling, a discreet smile crossed Anakin's face. Little Luke maintained his composure, but Anakin could sense through the Force the explosion of joy and excitement his son tried to contain. It was the beginning of a journey that would change both their lives forever. In the following years, Anakin Skywalker reached heights of power in the Force that no Jedi before him had achieved. His connection with the Force became so deep and refined that he could sense disturbances in distant star systems, move objects of considerable mass with mere thought, and even heal serious injuries through the living energy that permeated all things. The other masters watched him with a mixture of admiration and caution, recognizing that the prophecy of the Chosen One had not only been fulfilled, but continued to manifest in extraordinary ways. Obi-Wan often joked with him during their training sessions. "You're becoming so powerful that soon you won't even need to ignite your lightsaber, Anakin." But with great power came great responsibility, and Anakin felt the weight of being an example not just for the entire Order, but especially for his son, who now followed his footsteps through the temple with admiring eyes. When Luke turned 12 and demonstrated exceptional abilities in handling the Force, Anakin made a formal request to the Council to take him as his Padawan. The decision was controversial, some masters expressing concern about a father training his own son, but the majority recognized that no one better than the most powerful Jedi in history to train someone with such potential. "I sense something special in him, Masters," Anakin explained to the Council. "His connection with the Force is different from mine, more intuitive, more pure. He may come to be as powerful as I am, perhaps even more, but he needs guidance, the right guidance." Yoda agreed with a slow nod. "Teach your son, permitted it will be. But careful, Master Skywalker. Blinded by paternal love, you must not be. Balance, necessary it is." From that day, Luke became Anakin's shadow, accompanying him on diplomatic missions, investigations, and even council sessions when appropriate. The Skywalker family life in Coruscant had become a delicate dance between public and private. Their apartment, located on one of the upper levels of the planet city, was a sanctuary where they could simply be a family. Padme continued her tireless work as senator, now focused on post-war reconstruction legislation and clone rights. Leia grew up beside her mother, absorbing galactic politics as second nature, her sharp intelligence and even sharper tongue. Family meals were sacred, moments when Anakin stopped being the powerful Jedi Master and became just Anakin, husband and father. But even in these moments, tensions occasionally surfaced. Luke spoke enthusiastically about his missions with Anakin, about how he had used the Force to disarm 3 smugglers alone, about how he was getting faster with the lightsaber each day. Leia countered with stories about complex negotiations she had observed, about how words could be as powerful as any saber. Padme and Anakin exchanged meaningful glances, both seeing reflections of themselves in their children. One evening, after a particularly tense meeting in the Senate, Padme found Luke practicing lightsaber movements on their apartment's balcony. His expression concentrated, almost fierce. She watched him for a moment before speaking. "You've been training a lot lately, Luke. Even your father rests sometimes." Luke deactivated the saber and turned to her, sweat running down his forehead. "I need to be strong, Mother. I need to prove I'm worthy of being his Padawan, that it's not just because I'm his son." Padme approached and gently touched his face. "You've already proven that, dear. But strength isn't just about power. Your father took years to learn that." From inside the apartment, Leia appeared, her arms crossed. "You're becoming too much like Dad, Luke. All serious and trying to save the galaxy alone." Luke frowned. "And what's wrong with that?" Leia sighed dramatically. "Nothing, except you forget you have a family. You're becoming obsessed." Padme intervened before the discussion escalated. "Leia is partly right, Luke. You're so talented, so strong. But sometimes you seem to be trying to prove something all the time." Luke grew rapidly